So this is just a short little video on how to prune some tomato plants. If you have any questions or want some more clarification, leave a comment down below. So here we are walking over to the garden. We're gonna check on our tomato and pepper plants and also see if we need to do some pruning. So here are some tomato plants. And you can see we've got some tomatoes, a lot of green tomatoes. We planted Cherokee Purple, Beefmaster tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, which they are covered in cherry tomatoes. And I've got some more behind me, but here are our pepper plants. That is jalapeno, huge pepperoncini. Then we have, these are all bell pepper plants. There's tiny bell peppers coming out. Covered in bloom, so these will be covered in peppers soon. And let's see what we have over here. Oh yes, these are all, actually, these plants are Romas. These are Roma tomatoes. They need to be staked back up. Let's just look up in here. Plenty. And it looks like we need to do some more pruning. These are also Roma tomatoes. They were just planted later than this one. More cherry tomatoes. More Beefmaster and Cherokee Purples. They're starting to come out. Nothing is even turning pink yet. I've got some sunflowers in here. My plants. And then just a quick look, all of this over here, besides some weeds that need to come down, is all sweet corn. So that's what we have in the garden. So we're going to do a real quick lesson on the two different types of tomatoes. You can have either determinate tomato plants or indeterminate. So this is a Roma tomato. These are called determinate tomato plants. And what that means is whatever flowers this plant makes and whatever tomatoes it makes, it's only going to do it one time and that's it. Opposed to our cherry tomatoes, our Beefmasters, our Cherokee Purple, these are called indeterminate plants. And if you can tell, the Roma tomato plants grow more bushier, and these other tomato plants grow tall, almost like a tall vine. So these tomato plants, here's our cherry tomatoes. These will continue to produce fruit, blooms, until you either dig up the tomato, the plant dies, or frost kills it. So you can have tomatoes all summer long, fresh tomatoes, and even longer, especially if you put some in a greenhouse during the winter. Indeterminate tomatoes will continue to make. So that first you need to know if your tomato plant is indeterminate or determinate to decide how you're going to cut or prune the tomato plant. So let's look down here. This Cherokee Purple tomato plant. These are the pruning scissors that I use. I really like them because they're really small and sharp. So if we look down here, you can see that you can tell that I've already pruned a bunch. What you're wanting to look for when you prune is these two stems right here. The one that comes straight out at 90 degrees, that's just leaves. This that comes up at a 45-degree angle is a sucker. They're called suckers. This sucker will produce more, these look like they're dead, will produce more blooms. And every sucker is going to produce blooms. So if you don't cut any suckers off, you'll have tomatoes all up and down. Now, you can decide to cut every sucker off except for what's on the top. and just leave that. See, there's a bloom. Or you can start cutting some of these off down here. Let's see if I can get it for you. Cut this off. You can pinch it off, cut it off. And that means this will no longer, right here, the sucker will no longer make blooms, and it's going to shoot more of the plant's energy up. I also like to cut off the leaf stems that are going straight out, all down here, because you want to be producing fruit. You don't want all of the energy to go to leaves. Usually I will cut all of these leaves underneath and then leave what's on top to give it shade. So I leave the leaves on top to give shade to what's underneath, and then you'll basically be left with your main stem with tomatoes coming off of it, if that makes sense. Now that's how I do indeterminate. So all of these are gonna be pruned like that. When I prune the determinate tomatoes, here they are, the Romas, I know that this is only gonna produce fruit once. So I don't always cut every sucker off, but I will for sure cut leaves off. I will be cutting leaves. So I won't always cut all the suckers off, but I'll cut leaves off. Like that. And you might have to go way down deep to find some more leaves. And I come out here and prune, if not every day, every other day, because they do continue to grow.
Some examples of determinate tomatoes are Roma tomatoes or San Marzano tomatoes. Indeterminate examples would be Cherokee purple or even cherry tomatoes. You need to decide what you're going to do with your tomatoes, and that will determine what type of tomato you're going to plant. Roma and San Marzano are really great for canning and making pasta sauce, pizza sauce, and even just tomato juice, while Cherokee purple are really great for slicing and eating fresh. And cherry tomatoes, you can freeze them and save them for later and use in all different types of dishes. So decide what you're going to do with your tomatoes before you decide which kind of tomato you're going to buy. So no matter what type of tomato you decide to plant, you can have an abundance of a tomato crop to use for all types of things this summer by following these easy steps.